It all began with a failed attempt by myself and my wife for both of us to hear the Kriyat Shofar on Rosh HaSahana. This is no simple challenge when we are, thank God, we have a house filled with little children, very energetic. But this year I had what seemed to me a foolproof plan for both of us to make it to Beit Knesset and hear the shofar. I would daven in the earliest minyan shacharit, rush home. My wife would join the main minyan in the yeshuv, and after her hearing the shofar, she would come home. I would rush down to the shiva and hear shofar at the shiva, which is usually the latest minyan in the yeshuv. However, plans and reality aren't always the same, and quite rapidly things started going wrong. I came home, my wife went to the Beit Knesset, but for some reason the Shliach Tzibor was very inspired and the davening was taking a very long time. And my wife was concerned if she would wait till the Tkiyot, then I would miss the Tkiyot. So she rushed home to free me with the kids so I could get down to the Shiva. But I tried to convince her to go back. And after a debate, finally I left. I come to the Shiva to realize that I just missed Tkiyat Shofar. And this is I felt what a special relationship we have. Everything we do together, we both together missed shofar on last year's Rosh HaSahana. I thought reminiscent of the O. Henry story, The Gift of the Magi. We are a young couple. They each have a treasure. One, the woman has beautiful hair. The husband, a beautiful gold watch. And however, both of them want to buy a present for the other. The woman who doesn't have money, she sells her hair to buy a strap for her husband's watch. The husband comes home and looks at her in shock when he sees her with her hair cut off. She tries to explain, I had no money, I had to buy you a present. Here, she shows him the strap, let's see the watch, they'll be so beautiful together. Then he tells his side of the story. He sold the watch to buy her a beautiful set of combs for hair, which no longer exists. But anyway, this was only the beginning of the challenges of that Rosh HaSahana. We finally gathered together, the whole family, all the children. We were at the beginning of a 3-day Yom Tiv, 2 days Rosh HaSahana, and Shabbos following it. And suddenly, the main switch on the electricity goes down. We have a house filled with guests, but no electricity, no refrigerator, no air conditioner, no lights, and something has to be done. So I start wandering around the yeshuv, thinking, could there possibly somebody who is of Umat Olam, somebody not Jewish, who could help us and help us get back the electricity? But I rapidly discovered that we are not a mixed yeshuv. Apparently in Otniel, everybody is Jewish, and I'm running out of ideas. But then I meet a Habad Chassid walking the streets, and he suggests to me, go down to the army base. There's sure to be at least one soldier who's not Jewish, and maybe he could help you out. And I start thinking to myself that this seems to be unbearable chutzpah, to go down to an army base to find some Arab soldier who's spending his time to protect you, often makes them unpopular among different circles that they live in, and then to ask them, probably on their free time, to come walk to the most distant house in the yeshuv to help out for some halachic issue. I'm quite mortified with embarrassment, but I feel there's no choice. I start walking down to the base. When I get down to the base, the Chabad Chassid again appears. He's brought a shofar, and although he had been shacharit in the base, most of the soldiers were not in the Beit Knesset, and he wants everybody to have the opportunity to hear the shofar. He starts blowing for one of the soldiers, but like the piper of Hamlin, from everywhere, soldiers start appearing, coming, circling around him, all of them to hear the shofar. And then I realized that this is the deep meaning of shofar. When everyone's already in Beit Knesset, to hear a shofar to call us to awaken to tshuva, it's less existentially significant. However, the shofar, the call of the shofar to return to God, to return to tshuva, is for the people who are outside the Beit Knesset. It's for them that we need the shofar. Or as it says in the bracha in Shemona Esrei, Tiku b'shofar gadol achayotenu, the blowing of the great shofar, v'kabetz nidachenu mi'arba kanfot aretz. They will gather those who are scattered from the four corners of the earth with the shofar. And here the first part of the story was closed, and I was privileged to fulfill the mitzvah of shofar with the tikiyot of our local Habad Chassid, together with all the soldiers in the base. Then I started looking around for the Arab soldier. At first I couldn't find him. I'm already feeling relieved, but then we find him very rapidly. He understands the story. Indeed, it's his free time, but he's willing to come with me. His commander says, the commander who's Jewish says, "Well, I'll give you a ride." But when I realized that to have the commander, all of us riding on Yontif, it seems to be somewhat more of a problem than having the electricity going up. So I tried to back out and rapidly escape back to home to think of some other way to manage through the 3 days. But they're so wanting to help that they don't let me escape, and the Arab soldier says, "Okay, I'll walk you all the way to your house." And then, as I mentioned, we're the furthest house from the base in the yeshuv. We start walking through the heat, and the soldier smiles at everybody, wishes everyone Chag Sameach. He comes to the house, the electricity goes up, and everything Vayhi Or, and we thank him profusely. We offer him to eat something with us, but he has to get back to duty, so he insists to start walking back to the base. I escort him back to the base, and he tells me, "You know what? You have very cute kids." So I bless him. "You too should have cute kids." But then his face turns from a smile to sadness, and he tells me his story. He grew up in a small village in the Galil, and for 7 years was in love with a local girl, but before they could be married, she had a rare blood disease and she passed away. He said, "After that, I can't get married. I can't imagine ever marrying again. I'm not going to get married, and I'm not going to have any children." But then I told him that maybe there's an additional reason why we met this day. I told him that among our guests, there is a young couple who the wife was originally married to a student of mine who was killed shortly after their wedding, and she faced a tremendously traumatic situation and challenges, but she was able, with great courage and strength, to go through a process to come back to life, and ultimately find a husband, have children, and come back even to simchat chayim, the joy of life. And we sat down together near the Shin Gimel, the gate in the entrance of Otniel, talking about life and hopefully awakening seeds of hope for this soldier. As I walked back to my home, I realized that the electric switch closing the circuit is in many ways a parable for everything that happened that day. The Meor Einai teaches us that the words we say in Tefillah, Umalchuto b'kol meshalah, which he translates allegorically as the Malchut, the king, the kingship of God in everything. Mashalah is a mashal, is a parable. Life as a parable. The circuit the closing of the circuit, allowing the electricity to come back, is a parable for everything that happened that day. That so many people whose lives, the energies of their lives were connected to one another. Myself to the Chassid Chabad and the soldiers in the base, and I hope most significantly, the connection of the energies between our guest of Shabbat and that Arab soldier, and I hope that he and others will have a happy ending. And let me finish by wishing all of you a Shana Tova Umetuka.